Greetings, Legionnaires, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and I am your host. And joining me this week is my go-to podcast compadres, Joe Lever.
Hello, neighbor.
And
I didn't do the fence thing.
That's okay. You've got antlers now. No beard, but antlers now. And our other go-to podcast compadre, Mr. Levi Fletcher. How you doing, pal?
What's up, guys?
Yes, thank you guys so much for joining me. We have both of you. We haven't like aligned the planets, as it were, for a while, and I really appreciate it. It's so good to have you both back on the show, and it's great to have our dear viewers back, our Legionnaires. If you were tuning in for the first time, though, you might be wondering, what the heck do you guys talk about? We talk movies, games, TV shows, the things we love so much. And I like to start off with a bit of news because that's the best place to start. So, believe it or not, Joe's favorite franchise, Triple X, is getting a fourth installment. Joe, how do you feel about that?
Good on you, Vin Diesel.
Yeah, I just saw that it's going into production, and
it's like Fast and Furious. Anything he does, it just keeps going.
Yeah, it keeps going forever. Levi, I don't know if you have any love or hatred for the Triple X franchise, and not that we need to discuss it at length, but they're kind of crazy, stupid movies. Have you ever seen any of them?
I have not, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's okay. It's basically like what Fast and Furious is getting closer and closer towards, because it's just like insanity. Like, it's just like everyone's a superhero, basically.
Yeah.
But I thought it's worth mentioning. And which I mean, it's not Joe's real favorite franchise, but maybe it is. Who knows? Anyway, so we have some unfortunate news this week. Speaking of more news that concerns Joe, his favorite show of all time, Smallville. One of the actresses that used to be on that show has been convicted, or wasn't convicted, but she's being accused, of sex trafficking. Allison Mack, as Chloe Sullivan from Smallville. Like, what the heck, man? Like, to give a little more backstory on the story, she was like kind of tricking women into joining like an empowerment group, but actually it was more like a cult type.
Blackmailing them through like Instagram or something.
Yeah, I was like, what? Chloe? No. Like, oh man.
Yeah, I always knew she was a bad seed.
Yeah, it's just so like, how weird, like, to come out of just like nowhere and to be part of this group. It just it really bums me out. It's gonna be really hard to watch that second time through a Smallville whenever I go back to it. But yeah, that's stupid and sucks. Speaking of other kind of stupid, we're just flying through the news this week because I like this. James Cameron, our favorite, James Cameron, coming back to share with us a little bit more of his thoughts. Yes, he kind of attacked Wonder Woman earlier, or last year, I should say, I believe. Was it earlier this year? One of the two. But now he's come out to say this. I'm hoping we'll start getting Avengers fatigue here pretty soon. Not that I don't love the movies, it's just, come on, guys. There are other stories to tell besides hypergonadal males without families doing death-defying things for 2 hours and wrecking cities in the process. It's like, oi! Yeah, which, funnily enough, Kevin Feige heard about this, and the only thing he took away from this is, he said, he loves the movies. He says, that's awesome. Wow, James Cameron loves our movies. That's exciting. I was like, good on you, bud. Like, Kevin Feige, keeping it positive. So, Joe, like, James Cameron, like, coming out, like, do you feel like this Avengers fatigue? Like, do you feel this way at all?
Here's the thing. I think what he said is probably somewhat true. I mean, I don't want to say that these movies are formulaic because there's much more beneath the surface or the broad overview of these films. But the things that he kind of threw out there as examples, I mean, yeah, I get what he's saying. But when you do kind of dig beneath the surface, you understand the stories and how we got to this point. It's much more than that. So not 100% accurate. I think there could have been a better way to say it, but what is done is done.
Yeah, it does seem a little bit strange, him talking about that when he's planning on 4 follow-ups to the Avatar film franchise coming up here. Levi, are you excited like about this, or do you feel like that any of this kind of holds any water for you personally?
James Cameron, like the same James Cameron from Transformers?
No, that would be
Michael Bay.
Like, that's Michael Bay. Yeah, I was like, well, you know,
close.
Oh,
close.
I got those mixed up for a sec because I was thinking Michael Bay, and I'm like, Michael Bay doesn't really have any room to talk when all of his movies are robots destroying cities. I'm glad that you clarified that for me. Interesting.
Hilarious.
Yeah. I can see, why people would say that. It's we've had a lot of titles in the last, decade of Avengers type movies and apocalyptic movies, and I think that's why Black Panther did so well, because it shook it up a bit. It wasn't so like save the world; it was more like save Wakanda.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Yeah, I can see where it's coming from with that.
I think that's a really good point to bring up, though, because like look at how well Black Panther has been received and how different that film felt. It does kind of have a formula, Joe, and I know that you're kind of alluding to that. And I've said that plenty of times too. Like Doctor Strange kind of also follows like the Iron Man formula, and this movie does a little bit too as well, especially with the villain, like kind of power wise. But they're different enough that I don't think that people are feeling as fatigued. And I think a lot of that might come from the fact that he feels, I'm not going to say he feels threatened, but the guy's making 4 films that are coming up, and he's like, yeah, we should be done with this whole kind of thing, and I'm going to do something completely different, which remains to be seen right now.
All I can say is Disney is pissed.
Well, they own him, or not him, but they own that now. So it's
exactly.
Like, yeah, they're like, whatever, man, just like, you want to talk about that? Like, everyone's gonna be like, oh, he's stirring up trouble. And Disney's like, people are going to pay to see these movies, so it doesn't matter.
I hear you causing a little trouble. I can't do the voice.
Mr. Cameron, you better stop talking about that. You don't even know. Like, that's just cuts right there. He's like, I would just love to say, hey, James, I'm kind of sick of seeing Pocahontas films, but looks like you're still making them. I'm so sorry. Like, it just really grinds my gears. Sorry. Anyway, James Cameron. But he's a prolific director, and sometimes these guys come out and say these types of things. But they're, in a different realm. They kind of see these things, and it probably is a little frustrating for some of these guys who are like, yeah, I want to make something other than a superhero film. And everybody's like, hey, you should make like a superhero film. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. So he's got one of those, amounts of talent where he can go off and do that, and he's got that kind of profile and that backing. So, good for him. You go do that. I'm not going to stop you.
It does speak to the industry a little bit, though. It's like right now it feels like the only successful films are superhero films. Well, I don't
crazily successful typically.
Yeah.
Marvel films are the most successful hero films.
Yeah, that's what we should say that too.
Yeah, true. Not all are. Reasons why, I mean, we can debate that some other time, but I don't know. I mean, the industry right now as a whole, they are the most successful money makers in the theaters. What else really rivals that or even comes close?
Yeah, not too much else. I mean, Star Wars might be the other closest thing as far as like film goes.
Sure.
But I think one of the biggest things that, and we don't have to get into
Jurassic World, Jurassic Park.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just it's movies that reaffirm our like the nerddom, like that's become more massively acceptable socially to say like, hey, like I really love Jurassic Park. Like in the past, you might be like, okay, or like I really love Iron Man. Like in the past, people would be like, really? Or like I really love Batman or something, or even crazier like Green Lantern, which you might not want to say in public still. But I don't know. I think that's a lot of that, and then kind of watching these movies and then saying, hey, you watch these other movies, like good on you. Here's like a little Easter egg for you. And like for me, I'm like, hey, yeah, I watched that movie. Thanks for giving me that. Like, thanks. Like,
it kind of spoon feeds the fans what they really want. Example is Easter eggs, things like that. People that really follow it. You don't really get that through any other films.
Yeah, not really, not so much.
It makes you really think we are kind of due for something original that really goes gangbusters. I mean, I think Avatar was that. There's the argument that, it's just basically Pocahontas in the future. Well, okay. But it was still kind of original, a little different, but.
Yeah. Mostly just like visuals and stuff. And that's the thing I think sometimes with these movies that are kind of pushing the boundaries of like the graphics and stuff, that's always good to have, but sometimes they can suffer because the story isn't as compelling, So I don't know. Sure. But I know what movie's definitely going to do that. The new Doom movie. Apparently there's a new Doom movie in production or something. And if you guys remember, The Rock was in an old version of like a Doom movie.
Yeah, that movie was great.
Was it great?
Great's a word.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I did like the first-person shooter part. That was pretty cool.
some people say that was cool, and some people say they don't like it. I appreciate that they tried to do that. And I know that The Rock recently came out and said that for Rampage, he was like, yeah, we're going to break this video game curse, this movie curse. And he's like, and I was in Doom, and everybody remembers that stinker. And then, like, the Doom Twitter account just put the word Dwayne and, like, didn't say anything. They just like, Dwayne. Like, I don't know if that was them saying, like, come on, man. Or if they're saying, like, hey, you want to come be in this new movie? You want to try it again? So yeah, new Doom movie. I don't know. I say just make it crazy. I don't think they'll do Hardcore Henry where it's like first person the entire time. Like Levi, would you be interested in seeing something like this, like a big production Doom movie where it's like a dude in like a Master Chief almost outfit, like just ripping demons apart?
I didn't hate the first Doom film. I mean, it was entertaining. Sure, they can do like a movie like that and get Halo and all those kind of aspects right. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe that's the thing, Joe, we're just talking about like these movies, like the superhero movies doing so well. Maybe that's where like they're looking to pull from because there's such a vast history with comics to pull from these movies and they don't have to think of like original concepts. That's why they're maybe attacking games and stuff again, like Tomb Raider and some of these films like Rampage that they're coming back and they're like, hey, let's try this instead. Let's hope it sticks. But for you, like, would you want to see like a Doom movie? Is that something that interests you?
Yeah, I think so. Something that comes to mind, and I wasn't that into it, but Resident Evil.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah, which it's so weird because the games and the movies are so different. Like the games are like survival horror, and then like the movies are over the top action. Like it's like
yeah. But I mean, proven something like that can be successful done in the right way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now I do want to change gears a little bit. Some of this stuff's a little bit newer. Some of it is maybe a couple days older. But we want to talk about a few trailers here today. Now, there's one specifically that you boys wanted me to bring up. And Levi, I want you to take point on this, but it's Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I think it's like trailer 3 now.
Yeah.
I think it's the third one. Now, Levi, you watched this and you were like, dude, you're going to get excited. You're going to like this. And I was like, oh, really? And you're like, you seemed pretty amped. Like, what in this trailer made you excited?
I think what made me excited is that it actually put the puzzle pieces of the story together and didn't quite give it all away, but it made sense of why we're getting this film. The first two trailers were just a mess of like running around, screaming, dinosaurs attacking each other, T-Rex is back, and you're just like, what's going on in this? What's going on with this plot? We like to see the dinosaurs in the trailers and stuff, but it's like, what are we getting here? And then this trailer came out. I was like, oh, this is why we're doing this. Okay, that's a good story.
Gotcha. So it gave it like purpose. Was there anything in like particular that you're like, man, that was like the one shot where you're like, I'm in?
Nothing in particular. Just I like how more cohesive it makes it look. Not just before it just looked like they were doing it just to get dinosaurs back on the screen and get Jurassic Park back in the world. So
sure. Yeah. Joe, how about you, man? You sound pretty excited about this one as well.
I agree with what Levi had to say there. However, this movie's still going in the same direction as last one. Oh, we got genetic hybrid, yada yada. They made it. Okay, great.
Oh, really?
I forgot about that. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem, as you said, the part I agree about is it fleshes out the story. You understand the plot a little bit more. Part of me almost doesn't like that. I mean, I know now, great, okay, but I almost would have rather been surprised by it when I went to see it.
Sure.
Because, I mean, obviously I'm going to see it.
Yeah.
But, I have a comparison for this coming up shortly.
Oh.
That I think will flesh out why I say that.
Dang, what a tease. I was going to say, full disclosure, I haven't seen this trailer yet, so I'm really looking forward to this Jeff Goldblum hybrid dinosaur. He comes out, he's like, life found a way. And then he's just like somebody down. You're like, oh my God.
Are you sure you haven't watched it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited for that Sam Neill cameo where he comes out with the double barrel shotgun. And he's just like, life didn't find a way.
Life over.
Yeah, life is done.
One thing though, the horror aspects in there are well done, pretty cool.
Yeah, that's one thing I felt like was kind of missing from Jurassic World a little bit.
I knew this was going to happen because they kind of did it a little bit in Jurassic World. The whole man's best friend deal.
Yeah.
Blue, get him!
Yep,
Blue, come on, Blue. You know you gotta come with me. Come on, girl. Get him, Blue. Like,
yeah.
might as well put a collar on it and an ID tag and show what vaccines it's had. Ugh.
Well, yeah, man. Domesticate velociraptors. It's gonna be like man's best friend is dog, and then velociraptor will be just like right there. I've always wanted a pet velociraptor. I mean, it'd be terrifying just stalking around your house in the middle of the night, but yeah, man.
Well, whatever. In the first one, those things were the most terrifying creature on the island. So whatever.
I think I get where you're coming from because, like, for you, you also love the Alien franchise, and it's almost as if they were to said, like, hey, guess what? A xenomorph is now your pet, and you're
exactly. Wow. That was well done.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. It's like they kind of tease that a little bit in the last Alien Covenant, and that whole sequence is like kind of gut wrenching because you're like, that's not the point of this thing. And they're like, well, what if you could kind of train it? And it's like, oh no, like, it's, why? Yeah, I get that. It kind of takes away the mystique and the scary.
Yeah, and the nostalgia. The nostalgia I had for the Velociraptor is kind of dissolving before my eyes. And I'm like, why?
I know the Jeff Goldblum thing isn't real, but I just can't get it out of my head. It's definitely stuck. He's like, this is what happens with chaos theory. No. Yeah.
See what happens when I drop this drop of water?
I'm just saying, if there was a movie where that happened and they also made Chris Pratt into a hybrid with Blue together, like, you'd watch it, like, you'd pay to see that weird thing happen.
No, that's like Sharknado. That's made for Sci-Fi Channel, man.
I know, and that's kind of where Jurassic Park sometimes is like getting really close to doing that. It's like, all right, come back, guys, come back. Yeah, man.
Those reigns now.
I was hoping it doesn't get that far.
Yeah, well, I remember back in the day when they would just add like the Spinosaurus, and there was like, oh, that's actually really cool and scary. It's like,
can you guys hear that, by the way?
Yeah, I think Levi's about to.
There's a legit ice cream truck outside my house.
Study break.
I'm like, what year is this?
Give me some chocolate.
I didn't even know people still do that.
Run up to him and ask for, just say, I want to buy the whole thing.
The Superman bubblegum.
I feel like you're about to get murdered, man.
Yeah.
Like,
this is the best.
This is live. Hold on, I'll be right back.
This is the best podcast interruption ever, and if you don't leave it in, I'll be mad.
Oh, I'm definitely leaving it in for sure, dude. Yeah, I want people to, like, if you're watching or listening to this, please comment somewhere, tweet us, and just like, yeah, I heard the ice cream truck. Like, hashtag ice cream truck, and don't say anything else. Like, that's all I want. Like,
yeah. Hey, just for Phil, back to the.
I just see like Pennywise just outside my window.
That's what I was thinking.
Come here, Georgie.
We all float down here.
Yeah, I knew he was gonna say the float thing. It was freaks me out.
Is that a red balloon?
He has the market on those red balloons. Joe, you were gonna say something now?
Oh, Levi's intro, so calm, cool, collected. Mine botched, horrible. I always overcomplicate it. I was thinking about that.
That's okay.
Anywho, should we get back to it?
That's like an existential thing. Yeah, anyway, we're getting back to it. Wow, I love how off the rails this went. Okay, so Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, we're excited about it. So it's like the hypometers have gone up a little bit. Joe, like hypometer-wise right now, where are you? 0 to 100 and, so?
I like the horror aspect. I like the dinosaurs. I think it's going to have a more intimate feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll still give it a hypometer of about 8.5.
Okay, it's like 85-ish. 85. All right. How about you, man? What are you like 0 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit of hype after seeing Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom?
0 to 100, real quick. He went for ice cream.
He's gone. It's just a chair. You can't see it. It's just like slowly
I didn't see what happened, but did the clown grab him? Did the clown grab him? Levi!
I try like so hard to like make shows entertaining, but I cannot make it this entertaining. Like, this is just life, man. Like, this is just too good. Like,
he's back.
This is so
he's
good.
back. Levi, we were so worried the chair was just empty and spinning, and we thought the clown grabbed you.
I was freaked out a little
The
bit.
light comes back.
My question for you, Levi, was hypometer after seeing this trailer. How do you feel?
I'm at a good 8 or 9 out of 10 now. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, I was right between him, 8.5.
Dude,
I was
sweet.
go with the 0.5s, you know.
Well, I don't remember.
8.7.
Okay. Whoa. 87 will take it.
8.56.
Oh my God, we're gonna run that up to 86 for you. Because you guys have got me more excited, I'll bring it up to like an 80 or an 8 out of 10. I'm excited. I'm excited now. If you guys say you guys are excited. Like it's like I told Levi.
I remember I was a little on the fence about this movie.
Yeah. Well, I told him it's kind of like the word. Not that you should do this forever, but for me personally, if it's got the word Jurassic in front of it, I'm probably gonna see it. If it's
That's
got
all it takes, and it gives me. I give it an 8 right out of the box. So.
Yeah, it's like Marvel Studios. Like if I didn't know anything about Captain Marvel or the Ant-Man and Wasp, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's Marvel Studios. I'm probably gonna see it because I typically enjoy those films. That doesn't mean that like my score is always gonna be like, well, I always give them a base of 8 out of 10, and then we'll see what they do. It's like, but I'm still excited to see this film. It comes out on Joe's birthday. Look at Joe. They're thinking of you. I think it does anyway, or close to.
And Infinity War comes out on my birthday, so.
I know,
Wow.
and guess what? It comes out on my birthday. Like, I think right around there's like Spider-Man, the game, or Dragon Quest 11, both of them. So look at that. It's pretty. We're all getting things for our birthday this year. Yeah.
We're gonna get
dinosaurs.
movies, and you're gonna get Green Lantern.
I know. I'll get some
budget.
It's just
the budget DC film coming out.
My birthday always landed at the beginning of the school year, and then it was like, hey, Jimmy, guess what? We missed your birthday. And then at the end of the school year, they'd say like, oh, we're going to celebrate all of our summer birthdays. And I was like, well, you kind of skipped mine, and I'm in September. They're like, it's okay. We'll get you in the fall. Never did. All right? It's ridiculous.
This was
Sorry,
your
man.
parents?
No, this is the schools. Not my parents. They're like, who's about the kids' birthdays up here? That'd be so good. Oh, that's so great. All right. Next trailer. We got to be very professional about this. We got a leak of it, but then, like I had anticipated, a day later, Sony released the second trailer for Venom. Now, we could go in depth about every little thing about this, but there's only one thing that really matters. And I think we all know what that is. Eddie Brock's very strange New York accent. Now, it does kind of bug me a bit, and it's like, why are they doing that? He's like, oh yeah, I'm a reporter, see? Like, I go around and do this. But no, I'm kidding. It's Venom. We actually get to see Venom. We get to hear Venom. Apparently, Tom Hardy does the voice for Venom, and I gotta say, boys, it's looking pretty hot. Like, it's looking good. It's like, whew, it's like it's steamy. It like he looks incredible. Like, I think it's as close as we could have gotten to like comic accurate. I don't know, Levi. How do you feel about this?
Why do you think we got such a weight on the costume? Were they not ready for it?
No, I think this is their card. This is their last card to play. Because once you play this card, you kind of are like, that's the only cat you have in the bag. And they're like, there it is.
Yeah, a lot of people were really wondering why we didn't see a costume yet. But it looks good. Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm much more of a fan of this version than the Eddie Brock version. Or, well, Topher Grace.
Yeah, that one. Back in Spider-Man 3. Rough times, boys, rough times. But you were saying beforehand, you like how it kind of it kind of comes up and over him, like kind of eats his face and then turns into it.
Yeah, like envelops him. It's a lot. I think it's cooler the way he transforms.
Yeah, definitely. Joe, I know you've got to have something to say about this.
Do I? This is how a reveal of a movie should go. First off, they show enough to garner your interest, and boy, do they pull you in. But they don't reveal enough to let you know every intimate detail, as compared to like Jurassic Park and all that.
Yeah.
I think here it's just you kind of get a sense of what's going on, but you can't quite write it all down and put it together, right? Needless to say, everything is good about this trailer. I have one qualm. Tom Hardy, he's a little odd looking, but they cover that up with the fact that they talk about how, I'm an investigative reporter. I got to blend in, can't go unnoticed. And so he looks that way. Like, he looks like he lives in a dump apartment and maybe spends a night or two on the streets now and again. Like, his hair's kind of effed up and
Yeah.
At first I was like, huh. But it's overshadowed by everything else. I'm just like they show the symbiote and how they're trying to they think it's a part of human evolution and they're testing it on people. Doesn't look like a good thing. Maybe a little unethical there.
Probably.
And when they finally show him being infected and it kind of takes hold, and oh my gosh, I was tearing up. I looked like this with tears.
Yeah, I saw you. I was like, oh, he's doing a trailer reaction, and I'm just watching him do this right now. It's like, huh.
Oh, and I clapped at the end. I was amped up when. What are you? We are Venom. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And the suit reveal is just enough. Like you said, let the cat out of the bag, but it's like, hurry, close it back up. Open the bag. Did you get your peek? It was perfect.
Yeah, we don't see him fight or anything, which is kind of nice too. It's like they show off some of the practical applications of having that suit and what it would be like, but they don't show him running around ripping people apart or anything.
Yeah, exactly, which is what I like. They don't give you too much. They give you just enough. You talked about the reveal of it and how it looks. I feel that to take something, that concept, that look, that style, and give it texture and give it realistic looking life in real world, I think it's appropriate. The sheen, the textures of it, the way it moves, and then the intensity, the pure intensity of when it envelops his head and the teeth come out and the tongue. That's the stuff my nightmares are made of. I love it.
It's a thing of beauty, and it's just so sad that he's not in the MCU yet, because I think something like that is something that the MCU does not have, and I think it would be so cool to see.
Dude, that would shake things up.
It'd be sick. Yeah. I like the change in the trailer because a lot of Eddie is going through. He's like, I'm not feeling good. I'm not this. I do that. And then he gets to that point where he beats those guys up and he's like, what did we do? He says, what did we do? And it's like, what? Wait, what? It's like the perspective change of now he's starting to be like, oh, it's we now. And I love that they're doing this because that was something that needs to happen in this film. The symbiote needs to be its own thing, and they need to come together and talk like a crazy man. Be like, we don't like when you say that. And you're like, okay, Eddie, what are you talking about?
We didn't get a lot of that in Spider-Man 3, did we?
No, he was just the symbiote was its own thing, but it didn't it just made you kind of feel more rage or fear or whatever it was. It never spoke really.
Yeah, so, they didn't portray it in the true.
But yeah, that's Levi. You made a good point. And Sam Raimi, he didn't. They kind of tacked it on there. They kind of forced him to put that in there. So that's probably one of the reasons why they didn't flesh anything out, for lack of a better term. There, they just were like, "Yep, we can't add another character and say yep, the symbiote is its own thing." Which, by the way, we should probably all come together on this. Are we calling it a symbiote or symbiote? I always have said symbiote. But how do you guys call it? Levi, what do you say?
Symbiote's fine.
Yeah, I mean, symbiote sounds more. It sounds proper.
Yeah, because they say symbiote a bunch in the trailer. She's like the symbiotes, and I'm like,
and that's okay. Maybe that sounds a little more scientific.
Maybe I'm trying to think of what's symbiotic. So you symbiotic relationship?
Yeah, so that makes sense. Symbiotic,
symbiote. Anyway. It's just I want to know what you guys call it because I'm just interested. But yeah, man, I'm excited about this film. It's coming out in October, perfect time to come out, and I'm hoping that we get a little more. I'd like to see him in action just a bit, but I'm going to see it either way. You're right, Joe. Eddie does look kind of weird. I was joking before, but I think his accent does seem a little strange, but he's kind of like a big dude, and he's kind of hunching around all the time. He's like, I blend in, and I'm like, dude, you do not blend in. You don't at all, man.
Scary guy over there in the convenience store.
Which, he kind of is reporting he's talking, interviewing that one guy, and the guy kind of says kind of a threat to him. I'm like, I don't think you'd threaten this guy. I wouldn't be like, hey, yeah,
in the corporate world,
maybe, yeah. Anyway,
to go along with that, that was a moment that kind of stood out in my mind. That was a setup interview, camera and all, and he looked like he had just walked in off the street and got his lunch at a McDonald's.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Not that. Yeah.
McDonald's. Very specific. The major comparison here is to the Sam Raimi film. I think something to take away from that comparison is that the tone of each film is totally different. That was Raimi's was a much friendlier appeal, as opposed to this being, it's crime, it's corporate dirty laundry, it's dark, which lends itself well to a character such as this. I took a pause from the Google Hangouts. I actually have the YouTube trailer pulled up. I have it frozen on that transformation, and it has just come around and it's kind of full form. Oh, they do a good job of making it. It's an alien, right?
Yeah.
They give it an appropriate monstrous alien aesthetic.
Yeah. The texture, I think, is what sticks out. Like that tongue really feels, it looks like it's like a tangible thing.
That and how snarled the teeth are, and very, this is monster movie 101 at its best. It looks right.
Oh, for sure.
What's the deal with Carnage? Are we getting Carnage?
So the rumors have been, and I haven't double checked this recently, but that Carnage will be the main villain of this movie, but it's going to be played by Woody Harrelson, which I'm not.
That could work.
Maybe. I guess Cletus Cassidy. Like the problem is Cletus Cassidy, unlike Eddie, is like a convicted serial murderer, like in prison. Like, so that's, you gotta have somebody who can really bring out like that. Like if I got something with power,
is like a symbiote too, right? Like it attaches.
So it is if I remember correctly, I think it's the offspring of Venom is Carnage, and every offspring is technically stronger than the parent. That's why typically Venom and Spider-Man would team up to fight Carnage.
Gotcha.
Might need to double check these things. I might double check them myself. But
Woody Harrelson, the reason I think that would be, I don't know that age is a factor here. I don't know much about Carnage, the human character. I feel a prime example of why that works. Go watch the movie Into the Furnace with Christian Bale and Woody Harrelson.
Oh yeah,
that'll solidify it for you.
Yeah,
Woody Harrelson is a good actor. He's a weirdo, but he is a really good actor. And little known fact, my grandmother is friends with his mom.
Can we get him on the show? Joe, have your grandma call his mom. Let's get Woody Harrelson on the show. He's going to be in Solo. Like, we got to, like, come on, just tell him he's got to be on the show. You know what? You're right. He kind of reminds me of, like, a Jeff Daniels in that way, where it's like, they're kind of like older actors, but their range is very wide. And like, you think you'd only know like one version of them, but then you like see him in something else and you're like, wow. Like,
Jeff Daniels, Godless on Netflix.
Newsroom, but then Dumb and Dumber. You're
Newsroom, like, if that's not a broad range of acting prowess, I don't know what is. But.
Exactly. Okay, Levi, hypometer after seeing Venom trailer number 2. Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm at a strong 8 out of 10.
Cool.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably going to be one of the darkest Marvel films that we're going to see, and I think it's going to be good to shake things up. So.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping they can include him somehow down the line. But yeah, we'll see that one, obviously. Joe, how about you, man? Where are you?
Jimmy, I was going to ask you the same thing. Where are you at?
Oh, well, I just got to say, after seeing that beautiful face, I got to say I'm at like a 9 out of 10. I mean, come on. It's like it envelops his face just like the cartoons. It's like they did it. Like the eyes might not be as big as I want, but like just the whole like, we are Venom. I'm like, you damn Skippy were Venom. Like, let's go to the movies. Let's see him kill some people. Make it R-rated, baby. Make him eviscerate every bad person and maybe every good person. I just want to watch it, man. Like, let's just go. I'll see it today. I'll see a horrible version. I don't care. Oh, man, sorry. Anyway, it's at least a 9. Ooh.
At least a 9. Nice.
Yeah.
I've already bought my movie snacks.
Okay, so Joe's at like a 10. Joe's like the hype bomber is broken. It's just gone.
Joe's like in line for it.
He's stamped out. That'd be incredible. Like, oh, you're gonna come see Avengers Infinity War? Be like, nah, man, I'm in for the long haul. I'm here for Venom.
Yes.
October can't come see me.
my tent, my little grill out in front of the theater.
Oh, your little grill. I thought you said something else. I was like,
I think he's a little girl. I'm like,
I thought you said. I was like,
Grill.
grill. Anyway.
Grill.
So all right,
10 out
boys.
of 10. 11 out of 10. 20 out of 10. I don't know. Yeah, like you said, the hypometer broke.
Okay, cool. So there's kind of a big thing happening this week. Avengers Infinity War is releasing here in the States. And that means that after 10 years, we are finally getting what some would call the culmination of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I thought it was a fun little game and a little kind of PSA to those people who maybe haven't seen it yet or are interested in seeing it. We could talk about which films are like the most core concepts or things you would recommend that people see prior to seeing Avengers Infinity War. Now, to change this up a little bit, because I've heard other people talk about this, I'm going to say that these people come to you and say, hey, man, I've watched the first Avengers. I watched Age of Ultron. What else should I watch? And I figured we'd go just phase by phase, just real quick, just for funsies. So phase one, I'll remind you, 10 years ago, we started with Iron Man. We also had the Incredible Hulk that year. And then 2 years after that, we had Iron Man 2. We had Thor in 2011, Captain America, the First Avenger, also in 2011, and then the Avengers in 2012. So, Levi, out of that first group, which one would you say, besides Avengers, if someone was like, hey, man, where should I start? Like, what's the best?
I almost feel like Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, you can't. It's got to be phase one. It's got to be phase one.
Is that phase two, the first one?
Yes, it is.
Okay. For phase one, it'd have to be the first Avengers.
I said you can't do the Avengers.
Son of a bitch.
Levi participates in class, but does not follow directions. That's a joke from that 70s show. I can't claim that for my own.
You say Captain America.
No, because Captain America is too much of a prelude.
I could say them again if you want me to say them again.
Iron Man.
Why Iron Man?
I don't know. I feel like Iron Man really just kicks it off.
Sure. The only thing about that movie is...
See, that's too hard. No, you'd have to, like... F your rules. You'd have to be like...
No, I'm saying they saw the Avengers and they're like, hey, man, I want to watch another. Like, what's...
Oh, so say they've seen all the Avengers films.
Yeah.
But from first phase, I don't know. I don't know what you would start with from first phase if you've already seen...
Well, I feel like you want to understand Captain America's predicament.
Yeah, I can see that, but if somebody was trying to like get the films in, I would just say if you see Avengers, skip right to phase two.
My thought is two things. First off, first Iron Man is kind of its own thing, unless the Nick Fury end credit sequence has anything to tie in. The first Avenger, which is nice, is that the Tesseract, the first of the Infinity Stones, I believe is seen there. So maybe that would kind of it's not a huge focus, but it's still like the precedent. And then also you kind of feel like Cap because you're like, okay, I get World War II, like I get the concept. And then at the end of that movie, you jump to modern day and you're like, okay. So like you and Cap would be in the same boat walking into Avengers together. You'd be like, yeah, I barely know what's going on either. Like, you know? So that's why I feel like the first Avenger might be like the best out of that group. Like Thor.
Yeah, I can see. No, Thor, yeah, you could just skip Thor.
Yeah. Joe, what do you think? Is that kind of where you're at too?
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of the one that has the broadest range for the story or most applicable to the overall overarching story. And I do think that is Cap first Avenger.
Okay. All right. Let's go to phase two here. Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Captain America the Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, and then there's Avengers Age of Ultron, but then Ant-Man. That was phase two.
Guardians of the Galaxy, flat out.
Yeah.
You guys think Guardians? Why Guardians?
They talk a lot about Thanos, and they really set up the whole mystic world.
Infinity Stones, man.
The space stuff, yeah.
You gotta
Infinity
understand
Stones.
what those are.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, you get a good rundown of the Infinity Stones in that movie.
I will.
And they talk about the Celestials.
That's true. That's very true. The only thing, because you guys, I think I agree with you guys. I'm gonna fight for Winter Soldier for just a second, just because the lead into Civil War means so much more if you know what happens to Winter Soldier. That's all I'm saying. But you're right. It's a bigger deal. I think Guardians is a bigger deal. And then phase three. So we have Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, and Black Panther.
It sucks that you have to pick a whole film because I can go through and pick out the Easter eggs from each film that you need.
Let's rank 1, 2, 3 for this phase. I think that's appropriate.
Okay.
For sure, you need to see Ragnarok.
What?
The ending of Ragnarok goes right into Infinity War. So
Nah.
Well, yeah, I see where you're coming from.
I get that.
Yeah.
Watch how about this? Watch the very end of Ragnarok for sure. You have to watch the very end of Ragnarok because it goes right into this movie.
Sure.
And then you could skip Guardians too.
I would say
Doctor Strange is pretty important.
I would say Doctor Strange, Civil War, and Black Panther, because a lot of this is going to take place in Wakanda. And if you wanted to know what that was, like Civil War and Black Panther together would be like, oh, hey, this is a nice precursor. But which is the most important?
I'd agree with that. But then, like, right after Black Panther, throw in the last 5 minutes of Ragnarok.
Yeah, because the rest of that movie doesn't really have any. It's just like a fun space journey. There's not like anything.
It's a little more intimate to it. The only time it reaches out broader for the overarching story is at the end.
Yeah, pretty much. But what's like the number one? Would we say it's Civil War?
No,
because I feel like Civil War doesn't really set up the conflict in this film.
Strange.
Yeah, Strange. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Because he's got the time stone. He's figuring.
But we skipped over Thor: The Dark World, which introduces that other Infinity Stone, the
amethyst. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the amethyst is very important. You can kind of skip that.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah,
it's the red gem. The
Natalie Portman is infused with it, and she's all like, oh. And that's the dark elf.
She's gonna become the new Thor, and then we're all gonna cry. And
yeah. Yes. Hey, what happened to her?
She's gone.
What happened to the stone?
Oh, the stone? They took the stone, and they locked it up. I think.
Where?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Oh gosh, you guys are asking good questions. I think I remember. No, they gave the Power Stone to. I
wonder if they're going to show the amethyst in this one. Maybe he doesn't have it yet.
No, he's got to have it. Where is the okay. The Aether may not have always been at the Collector's Museum. May have originally been a stone similar to the others. I think they give it to the Collector. Yeah, because I remember at the end of one of those movies, he's like 2 down, 4 to go, or something like that. Like because he has the Power Stone from Guardians, and then like I think they give him that other one.
Who's the Collector?
Remember, he's from Guardians. He's the Benicio del Toro's got the tall white hair.
Yeah, but who gave it to him?
I think the Asgardians give it to him and say, "Can you hold on to this because we don't want this and the Tesseract to be in the same spot."
But he gave it over to Thanos right away.
We're not sure. Like Thanos maybe came, like, because remember his place blows up because of the Power Stone, so maybe Thanos went. And,
there we go. At the end of the movie, 2 Asgardians give the Reality Stone to the Collector because apparently they can't keep the Space Stone and the Reality Stone in the same room in Asgard.
I did it. I'm so.
This seems to be a huge mistake. As soon as they leave, the Collector says 1 down, 5 to go.
That's what it is. Thank God.
In a super evil voice.
I did it because they get the Power Stone because they go take it to him in Guardians, and he's all like, "Oh," he's like. And then it's like, okay, dude, stop freaking out about it. He's just like, it's Infinity Stone.
So he's basically in Thanos' back pocket.
We're not sure. The Collector's usually out for himself.
Oh, okay, yeah. So 1 down. Yeah, all right. So he wants him.
Yeah, because that's like the best collection on the planet. Is that like if you got that, then you could collect everything. Very easy.
And people think that the Soul Stone's in Wakanda. So
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, or in Heimdall. Anyway, to get back.
Heimdall. Oh yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, anyway. So we're saying Doctor Strange though is like the one you got to watch for Phase 3.
Yeah, because you understand the powers of the Infinity Stones even more. You understand that they're extremely sought after. You understand what they do and who has them. For the most part, you kind of.
Dang it, boys! You swayed me. Even though it's not my favorite, it makes sense. It boo! Makes sense to me.
What? Doctor Strange.
I like Doctor Strange too. It's just that like. I love Civil War, but I get that like if you skip that, I'm sure they're just gonna be friends again in
Mhm.
Infinity War. It's not gonna be like he's like, hey Tony, I'm not signing those accords, and he's like, hey Steve, guess what? We've got a planet about to crash into us. I mean, it's just like, oh yeah, sure, we should probably table this for
Yeah,
debate.
but Civil War is definitely a very close second.
You think so? As far as
I,
like essential?
I think it is to understand how the team functions together and everything.
Sure, I guess that's true. It's kind of a nice precursor.
And I'm sure you're going to get a little bit of that Tony and Cap, how they
Right.
interact, that whole thing.
Yeah.
It'll be good to understand that interaction.
Yeah, and I guess I would take that over Black Panther because like Black Panther does a really good job of showing off Wakanda, but they do tease it at the end of Civil War. And if you hadn't seen Black Panther and you went into Infinity War, there might be a few characters you don't know, but you'd be like, oh yeah, they're in that really super nice like place in Africa. They'll be fine. You know,
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, cool, good for them. It's a good place to be. Yeah. Do we all still have our favorite like just Marvel films overall? Levi, is Doctor Strange still like your tippity top?
I don't know because I sway a lot as far as like an origin film. It's up there, but Black Panther took the spot for that.
Oh, really?
God dang
Cool.
it. Yeah, Black Panther really got it. Yeah, I gotta make a ladder. And
I made one a while ago, but it's always changing. It's always the
it's
Cap
always
films.
changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cap films are very good. I mean, I don't feel like the MCU would be where it's at right now without
Iron Man.
Winter Soldier and just you say Iron Man.
Yeah.
No, I mean you probably could have skipped Iron Man all the way through and still been in a good spot for this.
Well, he doesn't really learn anything, and his movies are of little consequence to anyone but
Yeah,
himself. And it's
exactly.
like all those movies, I always think like he's the one who doesn't need the help the most. I like see these other extended ones like Winter Soldier when all that stuff's going down with the helicarriers. It's like Tony should be there. Like he should be like, hey man, what's going on?
Cap went through like a whole like siege, the freaking fall of Shield. Like,
Yeah, Triskellion's getting blown up, and it's just like, sorry, I was busy, man.
I just watched a video actually, a little bit off topic of the fights, like the training he did for that elevator scene. So cool.
I heard he just released that, and that's so like to see that stuff is like that's pretty rad. It's like that's really cool. Yeah. Isn't it weird that Captain America like has like the best trilogy out of the three? Like if you were to put me like in a room like 10 years ago and say, all right, here's Thor, the God of Thunder, here's Iron Man, he's this billionaire, genius, playboy, philanthropist with a robot like mech suit thing, and then you got Captain America. Which character do you want to see three great movies about? Like Cap probably wouldn't have been the last of those. I'd have been like, I guess Iron Man or Thor
should have been the most interesting.
Yeah.
But it really turned out to be Iron Man was the most popular.
Yep.
Content wise, it was, Captain America. And then just Thor was just kind of
he's there.
Yeah.
He's doing stuff. He's doing stuff that's supposed to be.
It's a little fantastical, but I guess personally it was a little fantastical for me, but it makes sense and it all ties in. But the reason I like the Iron Man trilogy is just because of the sexiness.
I'm watching that first one a little while back. That suit, when the first time he puts on like his legit red and gold, is it's sexy. It is just legit. He puts it on, it's like clunk, and it's like they light. It's like
Iron Man is the popular vote. Honestly, I think Iron Man is like the flagship or the mascot pretty much when people think of Avengers and superhero movies.
He's front and center on the poster.
Yeah,
I will never forget seeing the trailer at the Super Bowl many years ago. We were at Leo's house, our buddy Leo's house in his basement, and I saw the trailer, like the teaser for Iron Man. It's the shot of him walking away from the tank, like kind of covered in scorch marks and stuff, and it blows up behind him. And it was just a little off center and stuff. It's such an iconic shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, that's cool. Like, it's like,
that's one of those moments in that movie that gives you goosebumps a little.
Oh yeah, and he gets like shot out of the air by that tank, and he's just kind of like, what? Like
the first Iron Man is fantastic movie.
Yeah, yeah. I just wish they could have kept that momentum, but yeah, the suits, man, they're sick. Joe, what's your favorite? Do you have a favorite Marvel film still? I know we talked about this recently, but I don't remember like what. Is there one like at the very top right now for you?
Besides
Thor Ragnarok, because you're sporting the antlers that Hela has.
Okay, probably the only good part of that movie is her cool look, but that's about it. And her name. I think it'd have to be Civil War.
Yeah.
I just can't get my mind past the fact that all of them kind of together, and then even regardless of them fighting each other, it's just cool.
Yeah.
And it's intense. It really is. And to see them all featured and have their own moments throughout. Yeah.
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 I'd probably have to say Civil War as well. It just, I can't believe that movie exists the way it does. Like, there's so much. And yeah, the airport fight scene is amazing, but I love that last fight too. I love having like a conflict, because in like Batman versus Superman, you're supposed to have a similar type of like kind of conflict of conscience. And be like, oh yeah, I get where Batman's coming from. I get where Superman's coming from. You don't. In this movie, you totally do. You're like, I get Cap's side and I totally get Iron Man's side. Like, I understand. And it's like, it's just so sad to watch it. It's just like, oh gosh, guys. Like,
How many young people, though, like say under the age of 12 or even 13, don't really understand, the logic or the reasoning behind all that?
Yeah, it's probably a lot, but then again, it is a
chords and all that. They're probably like, what? So
Yeah.
they what? They just like the imagery and the sexiness of it all, probably.
Sure. Well, you shouldn't, like, I see some parents bringing kids into movies, like especially like the R-rated ones, and I'm like, you guys, like, they're way too young for this. Like, you're gonna have, these kids are gonna have nightmares. Not that like Avengers is gonna give you nightmares, but it's like, maybe don't bring your kids to like an Alien Covenant or something. Like,
My kids will go.
No, your kids will hate you. Like, yeah, our dad loves Xenomorph so much he dressed up as one for Halloween and then came out and woke us up, almost stabbed them to death. He's a critical condition.
It was like that scene from the Jurassic Park trailer or Jurassic World trailer, and it's the teeth and the drool in the hands.
See, exactly, yeah. Maybe that was it. Maybe it was Jurassic World. I don't know if you should bring like your kid. Like, there's some pretty messed up stuff in that movie. Like,
that movie's like a little dark.
Yeah, the death of that assistant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sadistic when it comes to my media, but even for me, I was like, this is too much, guys. Like,
yeah, I thought that was kind of inappropriate almost. I was like, what the hell did she do?
I'm thinking,
I guess like, she's expendable, but man, that was like a really out there way to get it done.
All I'm saying is, if Colin Trevorrow could go back and redo Jurassic Park, the shot of Clever Girl with Muldoon getting attacked would be the one Velociraptor turning around, tail whipping him like 20 feet, and there's another one like spiked him into the ground, and they all jumped on him and ripped him apart. And been like, okay, that was a little much. Like,
like Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah. It'd be a little strange. Yeah, well, hopefully those ramblings helped you, if you're listening in on this, like what movies we'd recommend to watch. Obviously, like the Avengers ones are typically the best ones because they incorporate everybody, typically. Civil War is kind of like Avengers 2.5 in a way, but if you want to kind of get a feel for this group going into, Infinity War, you could probably watch the first two Avengers and you'd be okay. But this other stuff would definitely help flesh it out.
Yeah, so to recap this, it was Captain America, the first Avenger.
Check.
Then it was
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Which I feel is probably the most important of all of them. But you need that team intro to kind of understand who's who and what's what. True. And then right after that, Doctor Strange, with Civil War in a close second to get that feel for the group.
Sure. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Special shout out though to Spider-Man: Homecoming. Stands on its own basically. It's got some good stuff in there. I love that Vulture, baby. Love me some Michael Keaton. Anyway, all right. Now, boys, it's time to move on to that segment of the show that I like to call, that you like to call, Levi, that Joe likes to call, we all like to call. What is it called, Joe? Hit me with it, baby.
Timekillers.
So it's time for Timekillers. And guess what? I'm going first, all right? Because guess what? Sometimes I make these decisions. I've been watching a bunch of Naruto, okay, and I love it, but I don't need to talk about that. I just absolutely do. It just flies by. 20 minutes just fly right on by. And yes, 5 to 10 of those minutes is usually the intro and outro songs, but that's okay. And recapping last week's. I'm playing God of War. I put a review on Progress that you can go check out right there. And I have a full review coming out. And one of the things I had a problem with is that there are kind of these, and I'll say this is like a spoiler talk, so I don't want to ruin anything for anybody. So if you like still want to play God of War and you don't want to see anything or hear anything, then skip over this part. But it was kind of hard to cut this review because there are things throughout the game that would be considered maybe spoilers, which is funny to me because I think of God of War as being a franchise that people never cared about the story, and they're just like, yeah, who's Kratos going to kill this time? So it was weird to do that, but I really enjoyed the game, and I think it's wonderful. Some people are lauding it as like the greatest thing ever, which I don't know if I'd go that far. It is incredibly good, but I wouldn't say it's like gonna change your life or anything. But I kind of wanted to open it to you guys if you had any questions or anything you want to know specifically about like the game itself, gameplay mechanics, the story, or anything that maybe you wanted to get like a first-hand appraisal of. So either of you guys got anything?
Do you agree with the stylistic change from the first three God of War to, you know, continuing the franchise, but now a completely different gameplay, pretty much everything?
Yeah,
different mythos.
Yeah, different mythos too. I think it was you, Levi, had mentioned this too. I feel like the original trilogy of God of War and their offshoots is like made for like teenagers, very like the 17-year-olds like fantasy. And this is like almost like Old Man Logan. Like they kind of skipped the midlife crisis and went to just kind of like somber, depressing. But I like it. I like the style change. I like the new mythos. I like the Greek mythos, but this new one is really cool too. And I think it works pretty well, changing up the style. Now, that being said, the combat, as much as I love it and it feels good, I still have a little bit of problem with like getting hit from, because like it's such a tight camera angle, whereas the old God of War games would kind of like the camera would kind of pan out and you could kind of see everybody, that was nice. But yeah, I think this was just kind of like the series growing up, as it were. And it seems to be Sony's kind of prerogative right now. Like it kind of has like the Last of Us vibes, kind of has like a Dark Souls-esque kind of fighting style. There's a little bit more flair to it though. There's a little bit more as far as options go, which I really enjoy. But if you've played any of those games, you'll say, oh yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, good question. Got a question, Joe? Anything you want to know?
You know, ultimately, not in particular. I did watch your review in progress.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I guess just my take on it, I felt like it's aesthetically, it's a very beautiful looking game, I feel.
Yes, it's gorgeous. And I'm playing on just a regular PS4. I'm not playing like on a 4K TV with a PS4 Pro, so I'm sure it's even prettier than what I've seen.
Yeah, I like that he's got the child psychic.
Oh, you like that? Okay, cool.
Yeah, a little bit of interaction back and forth to kind of add some intimacy to the storyline.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Maybe a bit more meaningful.
Yeah, and eventually you get, again, these are all spoilers, but you basically cut the head off this guy and revive him, and he's this kind of like all-knowing type of guy. So you have him like strapped to your back, and he's like this just severed head, and he tells you about like the lore of the world, or he might be like, watch out behind you or something. So it's cool. He adds a lot. Like that trio is really interesting, and that's something that a lot of the reviewers, I don't think they could show that. They also couldn't show that, again, spoilers, but like the Blades of Chaos, like the weapons that he's known to have are back. And the reason I put this, and I show this in the actual full review, is because they're a huge gameplay mechanic. Like they're a big thing in the puzzles, and they look gorgeous and they play really well. And it's weird to play this game with like swinging these things and being like this close to it. Like in the past, it was always like, oh, hey, I can see it from like a distance, but like you're right, but as you're like swinging, you go slow-mo, and you're like, ah, like that. It's like really cool. It's like, oh, that's amazing. And people should know about this. It shouldn't be like a secret. It should be like, hey guys, we got the Blades of Chaos in this game, and they're great.
I think that bodes well for a more intimate and stylish feel, more realistic as well, than as opposed to the pan out and it's kind of like a big tabletop and you're swinging around.
Yeah, I think like my example is always like Darksiders like 2. They do a pretty good job of that, where like when you kind of lock on an enemy, you get to like the like a high def TV kind of thing where like the black bars on the top and bottom, but it pan out just enough, but it wasn't like above you. It was like kind of back and to the side a bit. And so I was like, okay, I could kind of like, I wish they would go with more of that, or that I could change the camera. But because it's a constant take, like they don't cut to black ever in this game, I think that's one of the reasons they wanted to always have it be like, yep, you're right here behind Kratos, like for so much. Like it's typically the whole time. Cool. So yeah. But I was just getting sick of using that axe too. I was like, man, there's just the axe, and then you have like your bare hands and shield to like stun people, and if you stun them, you can like execute them. I was like, man, I really wish there was like one more weapon in this game. And like right when I got to that point, they're like, he's like, I have to go and get something, and they're like, what? And then I was like, I knew it. I was like, maybe
where does he go?
He goes back
the
to his
same way playing Darksiders.
he goes back to his home. And then like this, like he goes and he like pulls it out of like a secret little compartment. And I knew what it was going to be. I just didn't know if he was going to use it for more of the game. But like you use it the rest of the game then. And it is necessary to fight certain enemies. You go to a place where there's a bunch of like ice, like zombie kind of things. Your ice axe doesn't work against them. It does not. So like you like kind of have to use the blades. And it's so good. It's like, and they smash together like plumes of flame. And like it's so pretty. It's like, oh my god. You're like, this is so cool. It's nobody talks about it because like the review copies are probably like, please don't mention the Blades of Chaos. It's like, the flipping Blades of Chaos. Like that's Kratos, man. Like, show it. But the axe is cool. It's like basically Mjolnir. Like we're talking about Thor earlier. They got to call these people. Disney needs to make a Thor game with these guys because they get it. Even though they do, they tease Thor a lot. They tease them a ton in this game. And that's one thing else I want to talk about is they tease these other gods a ton and you don't see them. Maybe briefly at the end. They also tease like the other pantheons of gods. There's kind of one that like might be in Japan. They also have the kid Atreus. He puts on Pharaoh's helmet for a second or like a hat. And I was like, okay, so this one's going to be all the Norse stuff for the most part, and then they'll be like, oh, maybe Egypt's next, you know, like because I want Egypt really badly. I'm like, Kratos, kill them.
Yeah. Hey, what mythos is everybody most familiar with? Egyptian, right next to Greek gods, but
yeah, and Norse has obviously become way more popular too. So it's kind of hard to know anymore. But
what about Loki?
So okay, I talked to Levi about this. Obviously, we're gonna go to the spoilers, but technically, Kratos falls in love, and her name is Faye, but actually her name is Laufey. Now, Laufey is actually a giant. That doesn't mean she's necessarily like a very tall person, but she's a giant. So actually, Atreus, his original name they were going to go with was Loki. So he is actually Loki, but he's not like a trickster. It's not like the whole time he's like creeping on the ground. He's like, actually, I was a whole full grand old man the whole time. I thought it was going to happen, and I was like, Kratos is going to kill everybody. It's just going to be like, you pretended to be my son. Like, yep, for 9 years, whatever. Like okay, I guess I'm back in the game. Like he's like, well, got to get my my god killing knives out, and I'll be seeing you boys soon. Yeah.
Speaking of, Thor needs another weapon. I feel like I'm gonna miss Mjolnir.
I think from what the concept art and stuff we saw a while ago, he'll have something, but they do tease that at the end of this game, which I thought for sure, like I really wanted them to end on like a god fight, because you do fight one of the gods near the end, but the end of it's very somber because the whole point of the game is to spread Faye, her ashes, at the tallest peak in all the realms. And they kind of, this game really just sets up like the other games. Like there's a lot of setup for like, oh, what's gonna come next? And I like that, but it also feels like this game right now is like like I kept thinking, oh, this game's not gonna end for a while, and then it just was kind of like done.
Too much of a cliffhanger, left you wanting more, but it also left you feeling a little empty because you wanted more.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit like Fellowship of the Ring, where it ended and I was like, oh, that was cool, but there was that big fight right before the very end. They do have a big fight before the end of it, but you still have to like manually walk to like this place and then go to this other realm and do this thing, and it's like, okay. So it kind of was like such a somber. I thought there was gonna be one more fight. I thought I was gonna be right about to finish my quest, and then like Thor was gonna show up, and I was gonna be like, "You're a dead man." Like I'd be like, "Let's go." But yeah, I'm excited.
The Thor I know. Hey, wipe.
Yeah, because they constantly talk about Thor and Odin. Like Mimir, the severed head, he talks about them the whole time and how everybody hates them. I was like, this is the time to show me just like a little bit. But yeah, it's but it's a technical masterpiece. You talk about the graphics, but the sound design and the music are also just like so cool. Like they'll be on this boat. Like you take this boat to kind of traverse in Midgard, and when you go into a cave, like if they're talking loud enough, there'll be an echo. Like it just goes right to echo. like if they're just talking. It's like so good. It's like, oh man, like that stuff is so like so nice, you know. But yeah, I don't need to go on it too much more. Puzzles are great. They're pretty. They're like brain teasery enough, but they're not like if you overthink it like I do. I'm like, oh, you just have to push this thing over here. I'm like, how do I do this like the clever way? It's like, no, don't think of what the clever way is to do something. There's always a simpler way. It's Kratos we're talking about here. It's not like he's not gonna be like, He's gonna be like, I'm just gonna smash this thing. But yeah, pretty cool, man. It's a great game. If you have PS4, I recommend you check it out. But like I said, the reviews will be out there. Review in progress is spoiler free. The review, though, will have spoilers because I'm putting those flipping Blades of Chaos in there. People should see them. They look so cool. Yeah, you fight the Valkyries. They're like mini, like optional sub bosses. I was like this close to losing to one the other day, but I spammed all my abilities and I beat her. Felt real good. First try. First try.
Did you try any of the harder difficulty yet?
I haven't tried the harder difficulty yet. Like you had said, it's like I've heard that it's like really tough on normal difficulty. I still found that I'm like still running into roadblocks because if you aren't smart, you will get hit off the side, and you can take like hits because there are levels in this game. You take a hit from someone who's like 2 levels higher than you, you'll lose half your health in one shot. So it's like
that's what my buddy was saying is that like even the developer said they designed it so if you didn't play perfectly, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, but if you do, and because I record like my footage and look back, I'm like, wow, you look and feel really cool because you like will throw your axe, you'll like punch a dude a few times, you'll call it back, hit him in the back of the head, and then just chop him, and you're like, oh, and like it feels like it's very gratifying, like the hits. It's very much like the Lancer in Gears of War when you just chainsaw into somebody. It's like, oh, it feels good. Yeah. All right, that's me time killing. Levi, what have you been time killing with, pal?
I've been playing a lot of Fortnite lately. Waiting for Joe to jump on that train.
Joe.
You gonna play with us, Joe?
Have you been playing too, Jimmy?
Occasionally, but not as much as Levi has.
Yeah,
I'm having a lot of fun with it.
I tried it out once and I played alone. I didn't even know if I did anything right, but I was like in a game, I guess, and I don't know. I found a bunch of loot and stuff in homes, and I'm walking around with an assault rifle, and
it's addicting.
Eventually, I think I just got sniped.
Sounds about right. It's addicting. It's fast paced. It's fast to get into games, and it's fun.
I just worry that it's like, what if you are like 10th and you've already been in there for like an hour?
Oh, Jimmy and I almost got first. It was nuts.
And it doesn't take that long.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, the matches are like maybe like 20, 25, 30 minutes if it goes on that long. You could die in the first like 2 seconds, then start up a new game right away.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll have to give her a shot sometime.
Yeah. Darksiders. Been playing some Darksiders.
Yes. Tell me about Darksiders just for briefly.
I do like Darksiders a lot. Definitely a lot of Zelda aspects. It's fun. Yeah, it's cool. I was getting bored of the weapons that like you said, and then all of a sudden you get that spinning blade and it's like, oh cool, it shakes things up. And
dude, you gotta buy from Volgrim the Harvester Death Scythe. It's so good. Oof, I love it so much. Okay.
Yeah, all right. The game's fun.
Cool. All right, Joe, what do you kill time with, pal?
Oh boys, I haven't been on the podcast for about 2 episodes now.
Maybe 3.
Maybe 3. Yeah. So I got a bunch of stuff to lay on you. Well, not really. 3 things, I think. First off, Santa Clara Diet on Netflix with I always forget his dang name.
Timothy Oliphant.
Timothy Oliphant. Oh,
I did it.
There's something about him. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna meet him.
He's on Conan all the time.
Timothy Oliphant's great.
He is. There's something about him, his personality and his.
What is this called? Diet.
Santa Clara Diet.
Santa Clara Diet. Okay.
With Drew Barrymore. Original. Yeah, Netflix original. Drew Barrymore and Timothy Oliphant. Oliphant is just. I can't stop like watching him. There's something kind of captivating about him. His mannerisms, the way he acts, and just his unpredictable nature in the show. It's cool. It's good. It's lighthearted. It's enjoyable. You don't have to think a lot. Drew Barrymore's in it, so that's a drawback.
Do you not like Drew Barrymore?
Listen, I don't know what it is. She just, I don't want to be mean because I know she's a good person. She's a good actor. She does a perfect job in the show. There's just something about her that really turns me off, and I'm not talking about sexually. It's just her voice. I don't know. It's something. Ugh.
That's okay, but you recommend the show.
I do. It's enjoyable. It's funny. You laugh out loud. A serious undertone, but it never really hits you. So it just is purely fun watching. Perfect binge watcher. Other than that, Blue Mountain State. Oh, BMS, baby. Three seasons of it, and I wish there were more. I've been rewatching episode after episode from start to end. I probably made it through twice already.
Wow.
Starting it on my third time. It's just easy to watch. It's entertaining. It's funny. It's zany. It's kind of a different type of comedy that, you don't normally get away with. And I enjoy it. It's carefree.
Sure.
And I also really like Alan Richardson. I think he makes that darn show. He played, what's the orange turtle?
Michelangelo.
Played Michelangelo in Michael Bay's Ninja Turtles, whenever that was.
Nobody really?
Cares.
Okay. Yeah.
He's also in the Hunger Games.
Oh goodness.
And he's going to be in some new DC TV show on the CW, I think.
Oh, is it?
Legend of Tomorrow?
Is it, or is it Teen Titans?
No, it's like a white and red suit, and there's a girl with him. Now, you can look it up sometime, but either way,
great. Sounds good.
In this show, he is the most outlandish, ridiculous person ever, but it's perfect. Like, he's awesome. Yeah, it's just an enjoyable show, and I like to chill with it. Next to that, I've been playing a lot of For Honor.
Yeah,
I got back into that. I've been playing it with Drew and played it last night for a few hours, and I love it.
It's heartwarming. I'm glad that you're still playing that. It's so cool.
It's a good time. Like, you really got to plan it out. It's great to play with friends. And as you get better, you really feel good, Yeah. And then the aesthetics, too. It looks really good, and I love being able to customize my character. So
yeah, it's like Monster Hunter. You can see your character.
Just checking my horns here.
Yeah, you gotta check those horns, man. Check those horns.
I mean, antlers.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I've been playing the night class mainly. I used to play like strict Nobushi.
You're the warden now, right?
Yeah, I used to be strict Nobushi and sometimes play. What's the one with the big long axe? The Viking.
Oh, the Raider.
I used to play the Raider. I've just been clearly ranking up my warden. I love the night class. I think the aesthetic is really good. The ornaments for the helmets, the designs. You can get outfits, and some of the mythic and elite ones are awesome. Like, you get these masks that come down, and they have like special effects. Oh. Only complaint I have is it takes a really long time to get your character leveled up highly, and I've played quite a bit. And cosmetic things are way too expensive.
Yeah, they want you to do the microtransactions and stuff. They want you to buy that steel or whatever it is. Yeah,
unfortunately. But yeah, so if you didn't have the season pass, there are 6 characters you can't even touch.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
Because some of them are pretty appealing. But yeah, really enjoying that, and then playing Monster Energy Supercross now and again when I want to kill some time. Two different worlds. Mix it up, cleanse the palate. So those have been my time killers.
Sweet, excellent. Well, that means that we're moving on to the next and final segment of the show, my personal favorite, community feedback and questions. So I'd asked this last week, and it seemed like everybody kind of weighed in after the show, but I want to still go back to it. I just asked everybody, what's your favorite Star Wars character? Just a pretty basic one. I just kind of wanted like a little brief thing.
Sure.
Yeah. So Franken sent me just a picture or a gif of an Ewok. Alec Church says, Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's the quintessential Jedi. He embodies the Jedi more than anyone else. Sometimes the flaws, corruption of the Jedi Order are apparent, and Kenobi has to own up to it. Yet he never falters. He's uncompromisingly loyal, but navigates conflicts with fairness. And he also goes on to say, I love that he can be all these things and still thrown in some of the best quips in the galaxy. Sarcastic Obi-Wan is so entertaining. And I have to specifically credit Matthew Stover's novel adaptation of Revenge of the Sith. It's really what cemented Kenobi as my favorite, which makes me want to go read that book. Our friend from the Easy Allies, Ben Moore, said Luke Skywalker. As a kid who dreamed of being somewhere bigger than where I was, his story really connected with me because I hadn't heard many like it yet as a child. That's a great one. I don't know if I read this one before, but Mr. Mate says, I'll go with Han. I always love the character that doesn't have any of the power, but is still influential. Also has such a great character arc throughout the original trilogy while not losing who he was at the start with I Know. Barb also says Han Solo because of the word scoundrel. People love that. Our friend Cal G over at the Pens and Pixel podcast says Salacious Crumb because he's a weird shoulder goblin. If you don't remember him, he's the little one who screams and laughs at Jabba's palace. It's very scary. One of my absolute favorite ones here, Hunter Pearson, he says the far right stormtrooper, and there's these stormtroopers walking through this door, and it's pretty iconic or whatever, but one of them hits his head. He says because he's tall and he can't see shit out of those helmets.
This keeps going.
I think it's really funny. Our buddy Yoren Evers, definitely Yoda, calm and collected, and the very definition of not judging a book by its cover. And he can wield a lightsaber like no other, which I really like that one. And then I have to read this last one, but Anna says Darth Vader, all around a well-developed and complex character. So, yeah, this just goes on and on, but thank you guys for writing in. I do appreciate it. All right, so question for our lovely panelists here. This one comes in from our dear friend Missile Mage. He asks us, God of War is a beloved franchise that reinvented itself to become something greater. What other franchise do you think has the possibility to do the same? Levi, do you have any? Or Joe, is there any?
What was his example?
God of War. So, like, we're just talking about God of War, and it's like, remember, kind of back in the day, it was just like, I'm just rage-filled, and like, it's just, wasn't much to it, but now it's more like, oh, there's like a somber story there, and there's definitely a big tonal shift. Are there any, series you think of right now where you're like, man, they could change this one up?
What about Darksiders?
I thought about that. What would you do with it? Would you make it more serious?
Well, they definitely could. I mean, if you look at the first two games, they're very like hack and slash and very beat 'em up and fast paced and cool. They could tone it down and strip it away a little bit and make it more serious and change the tone a little bit. I don't know.
I thought of that one too.
I feel like Gears is already pretty dark and serious.
But would you want to take Gears and make it like lighthearted? You'd be like, that'd be the end of the world.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be odd. Yeah.
It's a great question. I love it. I'm trying to think of ones that were like staples of our console generations before. Like,
I wonder if it would be fun to see a different take on Resident Evil. We've had so many of the same iterations of Resident Evil.
But it changed so drastically with 7, though. Like, it's first-person perspective.
But it just went back to the same formula as like 1 and 2.
Sure. Maybe it's like a survival horror.
I wonder if you could do something different with it, yeah.
But then Resident Evil 4 was like kind of more like an action.
Resident Evil Online.
yeah. I don't know. Joe, is there any that come to mind to you that you just would like to see changed?
No, I honestly don't have an example.
I was trying to think of like one, because like God of War is such a good one because you're like, or like Tomb Raider. Like that's a great example of like, oh, it used to be like this weird kind of like thing, but now it's kind of a serious thing. So it seems like it's easier to maybe not easier, but more common to take something that was kind of fun and quirky in the past and be like, this is really serious. Like, do you take Zelda and you make it like hyper serious? And you're like, it's like the Master Sword. It's a hard burden to carry.
I think that's what like their aim was with Breath of the Wild, but they didn't want to go too far with it. So
yeah. Man, yeah. I don't know. That's such a good question, though. I really like it. I'm like looking at my games up here. I'm like,
yeah, and I'm thinking too of what if anything would really need to change. I don't know.
Do you take BioShock and like make it not like weird, and you make it like pretty serious, and like you just kind of strip away like the weird stuff, kind of fun stuff?
I think it'd be cool on the next Elder Scrolls iteration if we got something different.
Yeah, like what would you want?
I don't know. See, I don't know.
I know it's hard. It's hard because like it's so easy.
It's hard to think of like what I want, but you say that and then you get it and then you're like, go back.
Yeah, I want a really fun and fancy free Witcher. I want just like Geralt's out there hunting monsters, but it's a good old fashioned time, and he befriends most of them. Like he's about to kill them, then he's like, nope. It's like Pokemon, but for the Witcher. That's what I want. That's what I'm telling you. That'll make money. That Game Freak comes out and they're like, we're happy to announce that our Pokemon game for Switch will include Geralt of Rivia. Like, what? People would lose their minds.
There'd be blood. Like there could be carnage.
I'd run out of my house. You'd see me on stream and I'd just run out of the house. Yeah, it's a really good question. He also had another question for us. He had said, like, why do superhero movies are only getting better? But here's another one that I like more about music. Music plays a large part in how we enjoy entertainment and can make moments even more special when done right. Unique soundtracks can be sublime, but some licensed music can hit the right note as well. So what are your favorite moments featuring licensed music? And the same question as to unlicensed music. Any that come to you guys? I think back to like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. As far as like, you know, those moments like Duel of the Fates, or like some of those moments like the choir in the climax of Return of the King, when all that stuff's going down at the same time, and everyone's like screaming and all this stuff's happening. It's like it's just perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just so.
Yeah.
You guys have any other ones that come to your mind for you personally?
Not really.
No.
Lord of the Rings for sure.
Sure. Pirates of the Caribbean also keeps getting me. Like, because I was just at Disneyland when I hear that. I'm like,
it's a classic.
Oh yeah,
man. I'm like, that's so good.
Jurassic Park.
Oh man.
Infinity War.
See, the thing about Jurassic Park is like, it's the sweeping stuff that stays with me. It's not the no, you're like that. It's not that. It's just like
when they first arrive at the park, and it's like, you know.
I will say this. I don't think it's a didgeridoo, but whatever that thing is they play in the very beginning of the very first Jurassic Park, and it's like that ominous, like weird noise that plays is so good. It's like
that like deep bass thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
dang it, I'm gonna have to rewatch that now too. I love Jurassic Park.
Oh, it's so good. How about unlicensed music? Is there any music that you guys can think of where you're just like, I'm not sure if this is licensed or not, but I just really dig this tune?
I don't really know what that would be, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, I was trying to think about like what that could potentially be. I've been using a lot of like unlicensed music for my YouTube videos, so like I like listening to like the crazy metal ones because I like to put them in my vlogs as a joke, and I'm like, we're gonna get really hardcore right now, and then I just put this like like that kind of stuff that's like ripping off Metallica or something. That's what I'm into. Yeah. So I go through that YouTube audio library. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, well, that's going to do it for the show today, guys. I thank everybody for being on. If you guys ever have a question for the show, just all you have to do is tweet the hashtag Critical Podcast and just tweet at any of us. You can tweet at our official account, which is @GoCritical with a capital G and a capital C, or you can tweet at me personally, if you'd like to, at JimmyGood013. If you'd like to tweet at Joe, you can tweet at
Lever_627. Lever just like Beaver, only with an L.
Or if you have a thought-provoking and very spiritual question to ask Levi, you can tweet at...
I'm at Levi Fletcher.
Yeah, I just really want like, you can tweet any question to us, but usually keep it to movies and games and TV, where that's our wheelhouse. You know, you go outside of that and it's, oh boy, don't.
At our mercy, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I want to thank a few people. I want to thank... but before I do that, I have to say, we are streaming here all the time. You know, Levi, Levi's been streaming a ton lately, and I appreciate that. He has been streaming a lot on Sundays. So if you're around on a Sunday,
lazy Sunday,
what does it call them? Like lounging, lazy Levi streams or something. I like alliteration a lot. But yeah, man, you've been streaming for like 4 or 5 hours on Sundays just for like fun.
Yeah. Lazy Sunday streams are pretty fun for me, just to relax and chill with people and.
Do you
throw on like 5 games and blow through them all?
Let's say you jump through games a lot. Like, would you want people to be like, "Hey, man, you should play like this game and this game next Sunday," or do you like just being like, "I'll play whatever I want"?
Yeah, I'll play whatever I want, but if you have something that you want me to see me play and I've got it, I'll play it. Sure.
Yeah, cool. Speaking of licensed music, Levi's usually cranking.
I'm really bad at that, yeah. But the kids like the music. We keep it pretty hip and hopping.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we've got some games coming up soon. We've got Hyrule Warriors coming up next month. I'll be streaming that. Final Fantasy 15 soon. It's in the works.
Yeah. It's in the works. But that's on twitch.tv/critical reviews. So check us out there. And if you want to support us, go sub over there. That's huge. If you have by the way, if you have a Prime account, Amazon Prime, I should be telling more people this. If you have that, you have a free Twitch membership or Twitch Prime that you can use. If you don't want to use that on anybody else, you haven't used it yet, please consider using it for us. It's just free. It's easy. It's just $5 for us for free. I want to thank a few people. I want to thank This Is Dale for our amazing intro and outro music that I love listening to every week. And I want to thank the one and only Jorn Evers, the guy who does pretty much all the art you see here on the show. If you want to support Jorn and get a commission done, you can check him out at Niraj28 over on Twitter or at Jade Circle Art over on Twitter as well. Or check out his Instagram. That's a really good place to hang out too. But if you want to support Jorn and you want to support us at the same time, check out patreon.com/critical reviews, where you can get some of that sweet, sweet Jorn avatar art for yourself, where you can get your face. That's what I'm talking, like not blue people avatar. I'm talking about like your face, like a human avatar of yourself. And you can support the channel, get some cool rewards. Like for instance, if you donate at $5 and up, you get this podcast a day early, which is pretty sweet. If you want to get that sweet hot news, because I know you're waiting to hear our takes on James Cameron. You just want to know. Yeah,
he's a piece of work.
Or Michael Bay. You know, honestly though, I would love to hear what Michael Bay, like if they're like, hey Michael Bay, what do you think of the Avengers? He's like, needs more explosions. Like he takes like a little like out of the pot and he's like,
And I'm sick of Tony Stark only showing off one sexy car.
It's like, so
and where are the girls?
Yeah,
where
are the girls for sure? He's like, where are the girls at? He's like, you got Black Widow. Where are the other girls?
I hear Megan Fox is looking for work.
Oh my gosh, if she was in the MCU, man, I just couldn't.
Jesus,
she'll
be the new Thor.
No, that's sadness. That'd be she's in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. She can hang out there.
That was a movie, huh?
Boy,
it was. There's two of them.
What?
Yeah, because they did that one, then Out of the Shadows. Talking about Blue Mountain State. Yeah, she was April O'Neil. Yeah. Anyway, Levi, thank you so much for being on the show. Joe, thank you so much for being on the show, boys. Thanks for both being here, talking about stuff. Next week, everybody, get hyped. Avengers Infinity War. It's going down, and we're going to be talking about it because I just want to talk about it right now because I'm wearing the shirt. So great. We're going to see it tomorrow. And also, tweet Levi happy birthday. It's his birthday on Friday. So if you're seeing this, tweet him, just be like, happy belated birthday. All right. It'll make his day, I'm sure. Anyway, all right. Love and hugs to everybody. And just remember to adapt and overcome. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.